Welcome to the It's in Queens podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and this is the only podcast that focuses on Queens, the borough that truly has it all, from Astoria to the Rockaways and every neighborhood in between. This podcast is brought to you by the Queens Economic Development Corporation and the Queens Tourism Council. They work tirelessly to showcase our borough as a destination filled with amazing experiences, cultural gems, and really opportunities for everyone who lives here, works here, or visits from near or far. So as the winter months continue, lots of us continue to be in hibernation mode. The days, of course, are shorter, the temperatures drop, and then when they briefly rise into the 30s, we consider that a blessing. And it's tempting to just curl up indoors. For me, that usually means something comforting: a blanket, a hot drink, and a stack of books I have been meaning to dive into. Now, I gravitate towards thrillers, how-to books, and both established and newer authors. Give me a twisty legal drama, a smart procedural, or a novel that explores family and identity, and I'm happy for hours. I'm happy for days. And if a new John Irving, John Grisham, or Scott Turow book comes out, well, that usually jumps right to the top of my reading list. Growing up, reading was one of the great joys of my life. I loved English classes and my teachers, of course, and I was lucky to have adults around me who constantly encouraged me to get lost in stories. From the earliest age, the habit of reading felt like a superpower, and I never stopped. That's why, whenever possible, I'd like to introduce you to people and organizations who are making a difference by helping more children discover that same love of reading and giving them the tools to succeed in school and out of school. Recently, I came across a nonprofit doing powerful work in this space, the Reading Institute, a New York City-based organization that's focused on improving teacher training and expanding equitable access to high-impact, evidence-based reading interventions for young children. One of their cornerstone efforts is the Reading Ready program, an early literacy intervention designed specifically for emergent readers who are just starting to lift into word reading and spelling. Reading Ready helps build foundational skills in phonemic awareness, phonics, and spelling through multimodal activities and decodable books, so students can practice exactly the kinds of patterns and sounds they need to become confident readers. What's exciting is that this work is not just happening in theory or online. It is happening in real schools right here in Queens. At PS 152 in Woodside, Principal Lisa Russo is leading her entire school through a shift to evidence-based reading instruction. Every teacher, from kindergarten through 5th grade, including art, music, and physical education, has been trained in Reading Ready, giving everyone a shared language, shared knowledge, and a shared skill set for teaching reading. And I'm happy to say Lisa Russo is this week's guest on the It's in Queens podcast. Lisa Russo, welcome to the It's in Queens podcast.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You have spent your entire career, 24 years at PS 152 in Woodside, starting as a teacher. Talk to me about a little bit about your career in education.
Yeah, so it's crazy, right? 24 years went in like the blink of an eye, but I have been here my whole career, and I can't imagine being anywhere else. But I started in 2002 as a teacher. I taught for 13 years, a variety of grades, and then I moved up as assistant principal, and I took that role for 7 years. And now here I am as principal. I'm in my 4th year of the principalship. So it's the only school I've ever worked in, and it's a really special place to me.
Well, and you say special. So what makes PS 152, the school community, so special? How does that sense of continuity also shape your approach as a principal?
Well, I'm not the only one who's been here a lifetime. It's kind of like a trend here. My assistant principal actually has been here longer than I have. And a large number of our teachers are also veteran teachers with 20 plus years in our school community. So what's amazing is that our kids have now grown up and they're bringing their own kids, right? Like our students. So one of my 2nd grade teachers that started this year, she was my student in 4th and 5th grade. So now I hired her as a teacher. So we have it's very common that we'll know these families very well because we've been here for so long and we've had the sisters or the brothers or the aunts or the uncles. So it's just very, very special. We have the best kids and the kindest families, and we've all just invested so much time here. So it's lovely.
So I grew up as a very big reader, and this is why I love having you on because I love to talk with certain guests, especially when I deal with the Queens Public Library. I want to talk more about books and reading. But for yourself, were you always a lifelong reader? When did that start, and how did that start?
So reading has always been very important to my family. So it was a priority for my mother to make sure that all of us were avid readers. My grandfather always had a book in his back pocket and or on his coffee table. He was always reading to us. And as Christmas presents, he would buy us a special book. He would go to Barnes and Noble or B. Dalton and pick out a very special hardcover book and sign it for us. And we have those like as treasures. And then as little kids, my mom had to go back to work. So my brother and sister and I used to venture to the Queens Public Library in College Point, Poppenhusen branch, and we would spend our afternoons there with the children's librarian, and she would save certain books for us if we liked a series, or she would invite us to different things the library was having. So I think reading has always been a safe space for me and a place you can escape, and so it's just always been important to me. It's part of my DNA, I guess you could say.
And I understand you're obsessed with the science of reading. Why is structured literacy the best way to teach kids how to read? And what was the main catalyst for moving away from the previous balanced literacy approach?
So I was listening to a podcast called Sold a Story, and that podcast kind of like uncovered a lot of what was going on in balanced literacy and sort of what we had been doing for so many years, and we just didn't know that we were doing the wrong thing, right? So we followed the curriculums that we were given, we followed the approaches that we were given, but sometimes we just couldn't get kids to be fluent readers. So when I started to listen to that podcast, it just made me start wondering. And then I just started doing more research. But structured literacy includes explicit instruction for kids, right? And it lets them have the tools they need. So we're not guessing words, we're decoding words. Where balanced literacy was very big on the three cueing approach, where kids would just look at a picture and guess what the word might be. And it might be totally wrong. But if it was like within the realm, we were giving them credit for it. So it just wasn't letting them know how letters and sounds work. And now that we're doing the structured literacy approach, our kids know their letters and sounds.
And you went ahead and partnered with the Reading Institute, a great nonprofit, to bring this new evidence-based approach to your entire school. How did this change classroom instruction? Talk a little about that process.
Yeah, so we partnered with them through a pilot in the summer during our Summer Rising program. My intervention teacher was using it, and she came to me and she's like, "I think this is exactly what we need." So I connected with them, and we were able to, at a very reasonable cost, we were able to train our entire school. My gym teachers, my music teachers, my librarian, all my classroom teachers have been trained in the Reading Ready program, which is an intervention program for struggling readers. And it basically leveled up the teacher knowledge. It helped my teachers have a toolkit to approach kids that needed the help and know what to do, right? Because teachers need to feel empowered and they need to have the understanding themselves before they can pass it on to the kids. And it just really has been an absolute game changer. We are doing our middle of year assessments right now, and we are seeing the impact. Like where we were in a 50% range of proficiency, we're in an 80% range of proficiency in just a few months. So it's like the whole school is buzzing about the impact of this program. And I'm just so grateful to the Reading Writing Institute and what they're doing for teachers and schools. And like I said, it's just a really affordable program, and it just really has helped us a great deal.
And you talked about that improved record. What's interesting is that often people don't like change, but in your case, you saw teachers gain more confidence, for instance, and adopt a common language, common knowledge, common skill set. What has been the most visible, rewarding impact you've observed in your teachers and your students?
Well, I just think that the teachers are as obsessed with this as I am. And we're having like, I'm getting texts at night or emails at night, like this child has moved up this many levels, or listen to him read, or they'll send me videos, or they'll invite me to their classrooms, or I'll be walking down the hall and children will stop me and say, "Miss Russo, can you stop by today and listen to me read all the words?" I'm like, absolutely, right? Or, so it's just, they're excited because they're seeing it work. So teaching is a really hard profession because it matters so much, right? We are in the business of other people's children and making sure that they are educated properly. That's a very big, demanding responsibility. But when you see that what you're doing is changing children's lives, you want to do it more. And reading is a right, not a privilege. So all these children deserve to be readers. And now my teachers are empowered and they're determined. So it's just like a common goal that we have to make this happen for our kids.
And given your experience, I'd love for anyone listening to this podcast to also think maybe this is for us too. So, what's the single most important piece of advice you would offer to other principals or teachers in Queens who may want to consider making a similar change?
Well, I think as a school leader, you need to do the research first. You need to know what you expect your teachers to know. You need to be able to do what you expect your teachers to do. I pride myself in being an instructional leader, not just a manager of a building, because you teachers will buy in much more if they know you're standing next to them, right? So if you want to start this journey in your school, or if you are a teacher, just start doing some reading, start doing some connecting with the right people. I welcome any teacher who wants to know more about this. Find me, come visit us. We're not magicians, we just care a bunch, and it's something that we're getting better at each day. So we would love to expand our connections with people. But I've brought in like literacy consultants and authors. We do book studies. Like there's so many things that teachers could do, podcasts to listen to. But just start small and believe in each other, and you'll be able to make it happen.
Those are great pieces of advice. I want to ask you one other broader question because I was an education reporter for years at several media outlets. And one of my most memorable experiences when I affiliated with one nonprofit to be a principal for a day. I loved having that experience. What is the most appealing thing for you about being the principal of this school? What do you love most about your job?
I love how much the kids love me and believe in me. I think that they know I'm rooting for them. And when I stand outside, even on a day when it's absolutely freezing, and they're coming running up the ramp to tell me about the story they're reading or the story they're writing, even, or what's happening in math or what they went skiing or whatever they want to share with me, I'm ready to listen to them, and they know that. So I just think that being a principal, now I can impact 600 children and 600 families and just have that joy. And I do fun things for them, or I bring different events for them, and they're just so appreciative and happy, and they're leaving every day with a little bit more joy. And elementary school is a place to make memories, and I'm helping the kids do that.
That,
So that's what I think.
that's really nice. And before I let you go, if anyone listening to this podcast wants to learn more about your work or also the Reading Institute, where should they go?
So for the Reading Institute, they can go to readinginstitutenyc.org. If they want to find us, we are ps152q.org, or you could follow us on Instagram at ps152q. I also have my own literacy account on Instagram at Little Extra Literacy. So please find us. If we can help you, we would love to.
Lisa Russo, thank you so much for appearing here on the It's in Queens podcast.
Thank you so much.
What is clear is that this unified approach means classroom teachers, specialists, and support staff all feel better equipped to help students, particularly those who might otherwise slip through the cracks. For families in neighborhoods like Woodside and Jackson Heights, that matters tremendously. It can be the difference between a child who struggles in silence and a child who gains confidence, catches up, and begins to enjoy reading instead of dreading it. If you'd like to learn more about the Reading Institute, their Reading Ready and Reading Go programs, or their professional learning opportunities for educators, well then head right over to their website at readinginstitutenyc.org. Now, if you are getting outside, you decided not to curl up with a book but get out and explore Queens, well, that is where Rob Mackay comes in. He is with the Queens Economic Development Corporation and the Queens Tourism Council, and each and every week he highlights some of the more exciting events and opportunities that are happening in our borough. Here's this week's report.
Jeffrey, something that isn't exactly about going out and having fun, but is still very important. I want to tell you about the Somatic Healing Group that starts on February 4th at the Green Space Studios in Long Island City. Green Space Studios is actually run by a woman named Valerie Green. And she was a dancer, and she has a dance company, and she has a dance studio, but she's also certified in somatic healing. And she does a program which meets every other week, starting in February and ending in June, where people do all kinds of exercises and they share emotions and all that. And it really, really helps people work with issues, everything from trauma to obesity, PTSD, insomnia. It's a fantastic program, and I recommend